Hey everyone, welcome back to Teenage Therapy. I'm Gael.
I'm Thomas.
I'm Kayla.
And welcome back to the podcast. Now, it's summer. Do you have your summer fling? Or are you worried that a summer fling will turn into a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a significant other in general? But maybe you're not worried about that because if you're like some of us, maybe you just self-sabotage when it comes to love. And that's the reason summer flings will always be summer flings and nothing more. Who do you think here does that? Out of all of us, who's most likely to do that? Guess in the comments down below. Did you get it right? Who is it?
I'll go second place.
Yeah, for those not watching the video, I have my hand raised because I do self-sabotage. It's something I don't like to talk about, something that I don't even realize I do until several months or like even maybe a year after I've already done the sabotaging. And I'm like, wait, I did self-sabotage and I didn't even realize it.
In what ways?
I think that as soon as I'm just someone who's expecting the worst. When it comes to relationships and romance, I haven't had the greatest experiences. I have a lot of trauma from, just past relationships. And so every time I try and get into a new one, I have my guard up and I'm just looking for the first sign and chance for me to be like, oh, this isn't going to work out. This person's not for me. This person did something wrong. I can't be with them anymore. And I don't really give them a chance. Not that I don't give them a chance. I'm a lot less understanding than I think most other people would be just because I don't want to get hurt. I'm trying to save myself from getting hurt. So as soon as they do something that remotely is hurtful, bye. They're I'm ghosting them. I don't ghost them. I just end things. I just end things in not a great way, and then we never talk to each other. And yeah,
But isn't getting hurt unavoidable?
You see, yeah, that it's unavoidable. And so I would rather just avoid it all my life and not get into a relationship. It's just too much.
Wait, so are you scared that you can't handle the hurt of a relationship?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm not used to it. And I think that anytime someone shows interest in me, it's so hard for me to genuinely believe that they can like me and even love me, and actually care and want to get to know me. And I think I have such a poor self-esteem because of just, the circumstances and stuff that I've gone through or whatever. It hinders me from being able to accept people's love. So when people try and give it to me, I usually don't give in. I don't like it. I don't like when things get serious. When things get serious, I get scared.
We're very similar.
Yeah.
We're very similar.
In ways I didn't even realize, It's like, this isn't something that I realized I did until, I'm doing it right now as we speak.
Yeah. And it kind of reminds me of this other point of like you saying you don't know if they can, or you don't believe that they love you or that you're capable of like receiving it. Something that I think about when I go into dating or relationships is they love me conditionally. And it's like if I do something that's outside of their perception of how they view me or how they think they know me, it's done. It's like all of a sudden they just don't have room for that. They don't want to adapt their thinking to how I actually am. And so that's the part that scares me about dating and relationships, because I feel like I need to sort of fit within this boundary that they think that I am.
Yeah.
And it's hard to break out of that sometimes because, it's just, I don't know.
There's just this certain image they have in their heads.
Yeah.
or we go into relationships just
Mhm.
kind of already expecting how this person's gonna act and treat us and whatever. And I just, it's hard for me to believe that if they see the real me, like, just like they go beneath the surface and see parts that aren't, pretty, they're gonna run away. Like, I told you this the other night, where I feel like I scare guys away because as soon as they see how traumatized I am, or just how hurt I've been in the past, and the issues that have come out of that, I scare them away.
Do you think this is something that is just in your head, or you've genuinely
I think
seen
it's
it
in my
play
head
out?
too. Like, I'm not.
Okay.
Ow. Kayla and I, we spontaneously got piercings today, and I'm not used to having like a piercing, so I keep touching my ear and it
No,
hurts.
don't do that, 'cause it's
I
gonna
know,
get
I know, I know.
infected.
I'm not touching. I'm just like, ow. Anyways, what was I talking about?
In your head, or
Oh yeah, I know I self-sabotage, and I know that I get really in my head about these things because it's just in my nature. It's just who I am. Like, I I can't accept their love. I don't like myself. Just to lay it all out, like, I don't like myself, and because I don't like myself, it's hard for me to just believe that someone else could like me. And because of that, I start to sabotage it when, any chance I possibly could get. If I know things are getting serious and I see that there's this opportunity for them to hurt me, or they've done something a little shady, and I'm like, oh, this is my chance. And then I blow up and I just end it before things could really get messy. Because also, I feel like I'm very fragile. And sometimes I don't know if I can handle being in another relationship. Which is funny because I really thought I was going to be a man eater this summer. I was like, oh, I'm going to go on so many dates. I'm going to meet so many people, and it's going to be so good. And I'm just going to, like, flings left and right. I went on one date, and this guy just, like, it got me fucked up. I can't.
see, it's only that mindset of like, oh, I'm gonna be a man eater, until you meet a guy that you actually like, and then all of that just goes out the window.
Yeah, let's talk about that because I really didn't.
How do
expect
people
that.
do it? How are people
Let's
genuine
talk
man?
about-
Like, what is the thought process?
Let
Are
us
we
know.
just? I told that Tom is like, guys, we have to stop. You have to stop making every person special when they're really not special, unless you make them special. And I think there's just some people that are really good at being like a realistic, and they don't let their guard down so easily. They're like, okay, I fuck with you right now, but I'm not gonna like let you. I'm not easy, I'm not gonna let you. That's like confidence that I think we all can use, because it comes in handy when you're not just like, oh, he's the best I ever had, I'm gonna love him so much. It's like, okay, like, meaning shit, literally. Like
Yeah.
the girls that have that attitude, wow. Wow, they're so strong.
Yeah.
And I think another aspect too is like, after you go on multiple bad dates and you finally go on one good one, it feels like, oh my god, I hit the jackpot. Like, after all these
That's
dates,
exactly
it's paying
what
off.
it is. That's exactly what it is,
Yeah.
because I've had my fair share of bad men. Like, they don't know how to act, and I go on a date with this one good one, and I'm like, oh my god, wait, I need to hold on to this one. This one's a good one, and then I start attaching these expectations.
I get that. And it's so, I mean, it's very
Yeah.
easy to fall for the first half decent person. It's why you have to just be so honest with yourself. Do I actually like this man? Or am I just kind of forcing myself to romanticize him because it's kind of fun? It's satisfying in a lot of ways. And oftentimes, I think it becomes easier to recognize once you become aware of it, because inside you're kind of like, oh, there's things that kind of irk me out, and I know I see things that like are kind of awkward, but I totally choose to ignore it and just focus on like the good and like play this image in my head of like, oh, but when you really start analyzing, you're like, oh no, there's like so many moments where I'm like, yeah, we don't really even get along. It's just like I told you, it's easy to think you get along with someone when you're in a new environment because everything feels so fresh, everything feels so fun. It's once you get to that second, to that third day that you're like, we don't have shit to talk about. We don't like what we don't get each other, you know? That's when you see the chemistry unbundle. I mean, I feel for you in the self-sabotage. I think it's a long journey of like, look, if you don't like yourself right now, that makes it easier for you to just start planting the seeds for things that will eventually come into fruition. Like, spend some time just working on yourself, wanting to like yourself, but still have fun with men. And you get like, you go into it like, I know I'm not ready for a relationship, but I'm still going to go on dates just so like I meet with tons of good guys, but just keep them like at an arm's length away. So when I'm ready and I like myself, there's things there.
Kayla,
but
go.
it's like, what's the point of that? If, like, why do you need to be entertaining guys while focusing on yourself?
You see,
Because
and I
you
feel
get
like a lot of
FOMO.
no, because I saw this one video and it's like a lot of people when they're not in a relationship, they're just in a limbo state of looking for the next fling, the next relationship, the next boy. And it's like kind of sad.
That's so true.
Because I myself was thinking about this because it made me reflect. And I don't know if I've told the podcast. Have I told the podcast? But I'm single, AA. It's been about AA.
Okay.
And it's been about 5 months.
That's a very big milestone.
It's
Baby's first breakup.
you guys, it's big.
It's actually pretty
and we will
big.
go into it some other episode because we recorded it one time, but it was too fresh at the time. But now having time, I'm able to look at it in a much different perspective. But anyways, it made me think, and I don't know if I liked what I reflected on because I was like, well, why am I on Hinge? Like, what exactly am I looking for there that I can't get from like my friends or just being by myself, exploring the city? And I know a part of it is just, oh, well, it's experience, you know, you're in the city. And that's another thing too. Being here in New York, I feel like there's just a pressure to be going on dates or like meeting new people, and I don't know, that's a whole nother thing. But I think I've been feeling an aspect of that sort of made me feel like, oh well, I need to be doing this too. I'm only here for the summer, like I need to meet my fling, I need to have a fling. That was the thing. I was like, oh wait, I need to have a fling. This is the fling that everybody talks about. But now thinking about it, even then I just find it so hard to connect with guys that aren't like bad. So it leaves me wondering, what exactly am I looking for? Because I know that most likely I'm not going to find anything substantial.
Yeah.
That limbo state is so annoying.
Let's talk. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think that going on dates is fun. It's fun for, at least for me, because I kind of took a very big break for a year or two where I just was not seeing anyone because it was draining me. I mean, it's just, relationships get so draining and I feel like I got very lost in them. And so I spent the past year or so just figuring out like who I am and like what I want. And I've gotten so comfortable just being single that relationships are just, it's a very scary territory for me to cross, just because it's already good being single. You have your friends and but you know, it's the experience. It's the like, oh, like what if I meet the other person here? And I think it's also good for me to go on these dates and like experience, you know, not great dates, because it just teaches me more about the world and like how different everyone is. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm just going on dates to, like, I get what you're saying. Sometimes I don't know why I'm going on these dates, but at the same time, I think for me, going on these dates have been very stimulating, just because I've kind of not been putting myself out there enough in the past.
And just like that, I'm convinced to keep on.
Really?
Yeah, like,
No, because I get both
no,
points.
right? I get
both points make so much
and
sense.
I psych myself out. I'm like, okay, well, which one is the greater point? And I'm just like, I need to stop thinking. You're right, and I think at the end of the day, I agree with.
And
what
there's
you're
only
saying.
so many years that we're this age.
That's so real. And also, I haven't normally been the dating around type of person, and so why wouldn't I do it now?
That's another thing, is that at this age, you're supposed to be meeting a lot of people and like knowing what you want, knowing what you like. And I mean, what's a better place to do it than in your 20s in New York City? Like,
No, that's so. I'm convinced, guys. I'm sorry.
I get it.
the switch up.
I get it.
I switched up
switch
right
up
before your
fast.
eyes.
Literally. Oh my god. The limbo is such a weird thing to experience, and I mean, I guess I'm glad that I like settled and such, but when I see people being in that limbo, I'm like, wow, like the intentionality is so important, but it's hard when you want to be. I think it's hard to have that intentionality in dating between like, I'm going to go on dates versus I'm going to focus on myself, because when you're focusing on yourself, it's so easy to fall into this scarcity mindset that makes you think, I have a limited time, I have a limited number of people, I'm a limited number of months in this place, I need to do it now. And that is the like biggest driver of FOMO, is that scarcity mindset that you're running out of time to find that perfect partner, and you have to do it all now. So then it's like another point is, if we keep thinking like that, well, we're never going to have time to fully focus on ourselves. And that's why the limbo state is so annoying, because it's like, okay, now you spent 8 months, quote unquote, having this like half-assed, like, I am kind of trying to live the world and experience everything, while also half-assing like, oh, but I want to focus on myself. So you have one foot in, one foot out, and you do neither of them. One thing that's weird about self-sabotage, though, is that I find it, like, I feel like in the past I had found it difficult, and even now when I see people in relationships, a common theme is like the difficulty of how to know what's good for you versus knowing that you're running away from something that's good for you and then, okay, what's difficult is knowing what's good from you and not running away from it, and knowing when you're running towards something that you know isn't good for you, but it's less scary than what's good for you, if that makes sense.
You might need to elaborate just a little.
Yeah.
Well, you know, like when they say that a lot of people just naturally reject healthy relationships because stability is scary. That's what I mean. Of like that type of self-sabotage, and how difficult it can be to know if you're participating in that, as in rejecting a healthy relationship because it feels different and not as exciting. And if you're turning towards relationships you know aren't good for you because it's what you've known, maybe it's what you've done, and maybe it's just what feels easy.
Wow. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I think that might be it too, is that I'm just so used to bad relationships. I'm so used to like the toxicity, and the idea of a healthy relationship just sounds so foreign to me. Like I just assume all the good guys are gone at this point, and I have to make do with the ones that are still left around and like are interested, which sucks. It sucks because then I don't know. It's hard. I want to be able to accept healthy love, but as soon as I'm getting it and I get comfortable, and I feel myself getting comfortable, I start to like psych myself out. Like, wait, like I'm getting too comfortable. It's too good to be true, and I know something's gonna happen, and I have to stop everything before that bad thing happens. That's the way my brain just like processes it.
I think I've had a similar mindset, and it's hard because when you have that thought of this is going to go sour some way or another in the future, it's hard because you sort of place that relationship in a box and it can't go past that, and it's like it has to go how you're thinking. Because if you're naturally just saying like, or thinking something bad is going to happen, they're going to mess up, I'm going to mess up, it's just going to happen. And I think I did that to an extent in my past relationship. And because of that, I feel like, I don't want to say like never, but a lot of the times I had my guard up. Even if it was like towards the end, I still felt like, well, maybe because I knew the outcome of the relationship. But I do the same thing, and I don't know how to stop it necessarily, and I don't know why either. I think maybe it's just because I'm a cautious person. I think, Thomas, it stems from like trauma and you went through it. Me, I'm just so risk adverse and just so cautious with the people that I love and care about that I'm just always on guard.
Yeah.
And it's scary. I'm scared.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
I think you've seen the effects of bad and toxic relationships from your friends and like family. So that's why you're cautious.
Yeah, but I just sometimes I wish I didn't have that exposure, because sometimes I want to be blind too. I want to be ignorant.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I really just want to throw myself like full headed into a relationship. And of course, it's like, well, why not? Like, you can do it. It's just not the same anymore.
It's not the same. That first relationship, like, you could get away with that. You could get away with, like,
even then, if you're older, it's like,
yeah, that first love, especially if you're young, you can throw yourself completely, like, no logic involved. Nothing's gonna hold you back. But after that mess of a relationship, you just will always have your guard up at like some more than others, but it's just hard to navigate. Like, I don't know how to navigate this. I'm trying to figure it out, but I'm just
as lost as you, because I'm sure it'll happen again. And another thing that I'm thinking about too is, saying, oh, I'm not looking for anything long term, but I want something substantial, but I don't want to get hurt. And it's like, those are just so contradictory things. And if you're not looking for something long term, like quote unquote marriage or something, you're going to get hurt. It's part of the package, babe. Like,
it is.
There's no running away from it.
Because there's like this expiration date on it.
Exactly.
Like,
and that's
if you're only looking for something short, then we're not like, what's the point?
People that are cowards are bad at relationships, and people that are cowards are bad at dating. Only secure people are good at dating, because they're the ones that can handle dealing with negative emotions. They're brave enough to understand they're going to get hurt, but they trust themselves enough to get through it. And everyone that avoids commitment lacks trust in themselves, lacks confidence, and lacks like emotional regulation, because they're just scared that they're not going to be able to get through it.
Tell them, Gael. Tell them.
That's ultimately what it comes down to.
That's real.
No,
Wow.
I'm like, that made me feel a lot of comfort. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's the thing, is that dating, and like, if you're truly looking for something substantial, you have to be willing to be hurt. And I thought, going to the summer, I was ready for that. I really thought I was ready for that, but I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure if I'm ready to be hurt.
But the thing is, like, who is ready to be hurt? There's not going to be this time where it's like, okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. I think it's just this fear that I'm fragile, and like, we all know how, like, the past relationship has like left me, and I'm scared that will happen again. I'm just scared. It's coming out of like trauma, so it's hard for me to be like, oh, this is just something that everybody has to do. Fear is part of love. You have to be willing to get hurt if you actually want to fall in love and like have that special connection with someone, because you need that trust and you need to give it your all. And I'm just like, wait, can I still do that? Can I still do that after everything? That's what I'm trying to figure out. But I also think that in order for me to understand that and get to that point, I need to expose myself to like these dates and the possibility of those relationships happening. Because if I don't, then I'm gonna be stuck in that bubble. Like you always tell me, like if I don't, then I'm just always gonna believe that I'll never be ready. Basically,
You need a leap
I will
of
never be
faith.
ready. I need a leap of faith, and I think I'm taking that by being here in the city and going on dates. I think that's my leap of faith. And yes, I do have my guard up, and I'm not really ready to be hurt just yet. But I think I'm getting to a point where I'm understanding. I'm being more open to that possibility.
It's like a roller coaster. You're like in this really old and shaky roller coaster that feels like it's gonna fall apart any moment, and you're climbing this hill, and this hill is really, really scary, and it's the hill of intimacy. And you're climbing and you're climbing. And you're
Wait,
like, I don't know if I could get to the top.
Roller coaster climbing hill.
It's like a roller coaster. You're climbing the top, right?
Okay.
When you're about to drop, and you're like, oh
Yes.
my god, I'm climbing up this roller coaster. It's
the
like
drop
shaky. I don't know. It's
the
like
drop
really
that scares
scary. Can I
you.
handle the fear of that drop? And then you just trust yourself. Like, it's fine. I know the tracks are gonna keep me stable because I built with them. I trust them. You go down the track, and you're like, oh wait, the drop wasn't that bad. And then you're stable again, and
True.
that's you falling in love and being like, okay, actually, I handled it.
But let's say your first ride on that roller coaster, the tracks were not stable. The tracks were absolutely like you.
Well, you already survived it
were
once.
some
That's what I.
casualties.
Yeah, no, I have to remind myself that.
So the tracks are stable somewhat, even if it's a shaky ride.
You
Oh.
have some pretty shaky, rocky.
It was a shaky ass ride, guys.
Yeah.
I've had some shaky roller coaster rides.
I think you see it half empty instead of half full when you look at your trauma and your history.
Yeah, it's just so hard to enter relationships specifically, with that trauma. With friendships, I feel like I'm like yeah, I can do it easily. Relationships, like letting someone be that intimate and have that trust.
Relationships are scary.
That's very scary. It
They're
is very scary.
I'm scared.
I'm so scared right now.
I'm so
Who else
scared.
was
right now.
scared?
Raise your hand if you're scared.
Who else is scared?
Who else is scared?
Well, that's part of life. That really is part of life. It's
Yeah.
just a lot of trust and a lot of unknowns. What else can you do? Inaction leads to nothing. And so all you can do is take action, fuck around and find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hope for the best. Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are in a similar position, trust yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, then focus on what things build trust. Small little baby steps. Maybe go on a date, but be like, I'm not going to get in a relationship. I'm just
Yeah.
going to go on a lot of dates.
Also, you can't expect every day to just like be good, and you can't expect.
You can't expect every good day to turn into something.
You just can't be expecting anything at a certain point. You just need to lose all of your expectations and go meet this person, figure it out, see what you like, see what you don't like. If it goes somewhere, that's great. If it doesn't, that's also like fine. But it's not the end of the world if you have a bad date or if shit goes south. Like it's kind of just how dating is just like, unfortunately. But yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to put a question in the comments. I don't know what it will be, or the poll. One of the polls maybe might, do you trust yourself to be in a relationship? Do you trust yourself to fall in love?
What are your guys' answers?
I do.
Right now, in this very
Mhm.
moment, no, I need not to be in another relationship. I don't think I'll be in another relationship for a while.
I guess I will just leave a comment or a Q&A down below, and you guys will see it. If you're listening on Spotify, you will see it. I hope you can follow us on Instagram at Teenager Therapy if you want to see what we're up to while we're in New York. And funny enough, talking about romance and heartbreak, did you guys know that Kayla and I are starting a podcast company?
Nice.
It's called Astro Studios, and our first show is called Friendgroup. Woohoo! And it's just various young people sharing their stories on common life issues. And it just so happens that the first season is all about the question, is getting back together with an ex worth it? So if you want to hear more stories from other young people like us talking about their experience on getting back together with an ex or not getting back together with one, listen on Spotify, Friendgroup, or follow us on Instagram at Astro Studios at
Or
XYZ.
do both.
Do both.
Do it all.
Do it all.
Produced by Kayla and I. Voiced by
Yes.
Kayla. We don't really. Yeah, we should tell you guys more about that. I feel like that's like a thing we're throwing in here. It's like a big thing that we're just like kind of casually throwing in there. So we'll make an episode on it soon. We're also hosting an event June 30th. It's called Midnight Living Room. It's from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. And it's basically just us bringing people together to come create art and have really comforting conversations around love and heartbreak. So if you're in New York and you want to come hang out with us and make art, please come. To find out more information, you go to astrostudios.xyz and you go to RSVP. So if you're in New York and you're listening, please check it out
Join
Check
us.
it
You can
out.
hear our stories and
live.
I'm excited to be able to relate with you guys.
Yeah.
Now that I'm in this club.
Literally.
So,
midnight living
yeah.
room. Let's chat, guys.
We're gonna reach this deeper level of intimacy. You guys aren't
know.
ready for it. You guys
I know, because
are
it's
not
like
ready.
in-person podcasting. Just
that's
Oh,
so
yeah,
true.
that's so
conversating with
true.
everybody.
With making little art pieces.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, yum.
Actually, I'm not good.
What
Alright.
stays in that room does not leave.
Yeah. So if you're in New York, we'll see you there. If not, too bad, too sad. Maybe we'll go to your city soon. Or just kidding.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
That's
Bye,
right.
guys. Bye.
Bye.